Hi there everybody. I'm going to do my updated foundation routine for you guys today. So let me get started by showing you the products that I use. The products that I use it's very slim pickings. I don't use very much. I'm not one of those people who puts a lot of stuff on my skin. I always start off with a moisturizer, and I prefer Neutrogena, the oil-free moisture. I switch between the sensitive skin and the one with SPF 15. Right now I'm using the sensitive skin one. So I'm going to start by using that, put it on the back of my hand, start to rub that into my face. Now I'm not light when it comes to my skin. I go ahead and I really work the moisturizer in, because I find that if I don't, this will just sit on top of my skin, so I really have to massage it and work it into the pores. Take some over the eyelid. And then I always put some more right underneath the eye. The reason being is I get really dry right there and on the inner corner as well. Step number 2, I use my foundation, which you guys know my all-time favorite is Prescriptives Virtual Skin. And I always put it on the back of my hand. I put a dot of moisturizer over the top and work in my own little blend. I just dot it around the face. Now that I'm looking super crazy at the moment, I take my foundation brush from Coastal Scents and I start to stipple the product around. Then after, I start to buff. Now, I don't apply all foundations like this, just this particular one. I happen to like to buff it into the skin. And as you can see as I'm doing that, this is a very sheer foundation. People with problematic skin or acne, this will not work for you because it does not cover anything. After I buff the foundation into my skin, as you can see, I still have foundation on the back of my hand, and I'll explain that in a minute. I'm going to move on to concealer next. I use Maybelline Superstay 24-Hour Concealer. You guys have seen it time and time again, but the packaging looks like this. I use 2 different colors. One is the lightest, which is ivory. The next color up is cream. Now I'm going to conceal my blemishes that I have on my face right now. I'm taking the darkest, about 2 little dollops of that and 1 dollop of the light, because the dark is too dark and the light is too light. So I make my own little color combination to what I like. I work it in the back of my hand like that, tap off a little bit, then I start to pick out the spots that I want to conceal. I find using my finger, I get a really light application and warms the concealer up, as well as being on the back of the hand, but the warmth from my finger helps it to blend a lot easier. Now I know all you guys comment, well, not all of you, but quite a few of you have commented that I have really nice skin. I do sometimes, not all the time. Right now I'm kind of having a lot of outbreaks. I think it's because of the water where I live. It has a lot of mineral deposits in it, and my skin does not like that. So I'm having to use a lot more concealer lately. I have a little bit of redness on my cheeks, so I go over, touch on the cheek area. Sides. And when I have it pretty much blended in like that, I go back to my foundation, which I still have on the back of my hand, and I just get a little bit more on the brush. Make sure I work it pretty good so it's not like a heavy application, and then I go back over the spots that I have put concealer on. and I just stipple. The stippling motion is just going to place the foundation right over the top of that concealer. You don't want to buff it at this point because you're going to move the concealer right off the spot that you wanted it. This also helps too if I didn't get the right color combo with the concealer, if it's a little bit too light, a little bit too dark, I can get it to match the foundation. You could stop at this point if you're happy with it, but if I'm trying to get a real flawless face, this is what I do. I go back with the darker concealer, which is cream, and I take a concealer brush. Just put a little bit on there, and I just spot place it. Wipe off the brush, and then blend the product out. Now, this guy and this guy are kind of raised at the moment, whereas this one and this one are still underneath the skin. The ones that are underneath the skin are a lot easier to conceal because it's more of a flat surface that you're working with. And if you have, like, this one's an old one, it's kind of scarred a little bit from me picking at it. I try not to put too much product on it because when you start to add a lot, it builds up, it even makes it stand out more, if you can understand that. It looks like you're really trying to hide it, which makes it look even more noticeable. So at this point, I would usually just put my setting powder on, which I've been using. This is Prescriptives Magic Powder. It has a cooling sensation and it has iridescence shot through it. It's not chunky glitter, it's just very finely milled, and it just gives a real nice sheen to the skin. I like that during the winter time only. Do not use this during the summer, especially for me. I tend to get very oily, and if I use this during the summer, it's just going to slide all over my face and it will not be pretty. But even during the winter, I have to be very light-handed with this because it does put an intense sheen all over the skin. I have my eye makeup done, so this is when I finish up my face. I'm going to use, again, my Maybelline concealer, this time in the lightest one, Ivory. I just put a little dot right there in the inner corners. And then I take a fluffy brush. It's like the MAC 224, but this one is softer. It's from Studio Gear, number 34. I first get the majority kind of blended in right underneath the eye, and then I work the product up. Make sure to get the inner corner. At this point, I can also shape the outside edge of my eyeshadow if it dropped down too low. After I do that, the face is completely done now except for setting powder. I'm going to use Prescriptives Magic. This has, let me show you, it's super finely milled and it has iridescence through it. Now, I usually just get it in the cap, get some on my brush, and tap it off on the back of my hand. And I just go over the parts that I want to show a little bit of iridescence, and I use this again only during the winter time because it does give a sheen to the face. Don't need any more of that during the summer. Take some down the neck too. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this warms up my face. It's supposed to be translucent. And years ago when I got this, it was completely translucent, but I don't know why. Maybe they changed the formulation, but it gives a little bit more warmth to my skin, which I'm not too keen on, but I'll use it. That is how I do my foundation and concealer routine every single day. I hope this has been informative. If you have any questions, feel free to post a comment below. Have a nice day. Bye.